I'm Keir Monteith, King's Counsel. SHiFT, by any means necessary, helps young people, young children, to become bright, ambitious and free from the cycles of crime. On a number of occasions, the people I represent are very young, in fact even younger than their chronological age. Often they will be in detention, so in difficult conditions, surrounded by an atmosphere that is oppressive, where they will not always have the number of visits by family members that one would expect. And then they see me, and we are talking at some point about very serious allegations that have been made against them, sometimes recent, sometimes months, if not years in the past. And I've got to somehow gain their confidence in a relatively short period of time. And so I physically get down to their level. We'll talk about something that isn't connected to the case. I'll try and introduce some humour, often not very funny, but sometimes does the trick. I do try and listen properly. I take on board what's being said. Now, I trust in what they're telling me. I'm not going to say I get it right every single time, that would be impossible, but that's the approach I take. So one of the things I noticed is it prominently displays its sort of anti-racist starting point in its literature, on its website, and within discussions that we have. And in this present climate, I see SHiFT being one of many organisations, they're not alone, and many voices are not afraid in saying it's important to be anti-racist in a racist society, and it's important to have equity, diversity and inclusion. It's really boring if everything's the same. It's so much better if there's different voices, different people, but importantly listening to each other, then working together and finding a collaborative way of moving forward. I see SHiFT as being part of that voice in and out of the justice system. If I have to go with just one systemic change, education, sport and music, all of those things are so important as you're growing up. And I suspect that if you're involved in any of those or all three, you're much less likely to meet a person like me. On a significant number of occasions, they've had it, but they're black lads and they've been wrongly arrested. And I saw that a few months ago in the Old Bailey, and it was a gross miscarriage of justice in terms of the prosecution. They were acquitted, but in that time they'd been locked up in youth detention, terrible places, for up to 14 months. So it's not that every single individual hasn't had those opportunities. In other situations, and I recognise there are other situations, people haven't had the opportunity to get involved in any of those activities, or if they have, they've been severely rationed. And so it's important to provide good quality facilities, and then people can explore education, they can embrace technology, you can excel at sport, you can just chill out and enjoy sport. And music is just fantastic. I love music. I dance very badly, but I love it. It can change people's lives for the good, and you can express yourself, you can get upset, you can meditate, you can chill out, you can have a great time. It's not that I see positivity or progress within the criminal justice system, I've seen the opposite. So what I've seen is the prosecution now using music as evidence of people being involved in a gang or having a tendency to use violence. I've seen prosecutors and I've seen judges endorse suggestions such as possessing a video, it's a rap video, or participating in a rap video, that means even just walking in the background, is indicative of being in a gang. And it's nonsense. I mean, it's absolute and utter nonsense, but it's happening right in front of me in courts. And recently, this isn't historic. I've also seen the state have been using joint enterprise an awful lot more to try and prosecute individuals who've just been present but have done nothing. And I've seen the state use conspiracy laws in a similar way, and there has been no violence from people, no participation in violence, but they're prosecuted on the basis of maybe a few text messages. And it's got to stop. It can't carry on. It's undermining people's faith in the criminal justice system. I co-founded an organisation called Art Not Evidence, and it's asking actually for quite a modest thing to occur, to have as a starting point that music or creative expression is inadmissible in a criminal court. And that's not radical, it's just common sense. One of the important aspects of SHiFT is not being embarrassed or worried about saying there has to be system change. And eventually, I suppose, for there to be no need for SHiFT.